Okay, so this is 2013, paper 2, and it is question 7. Okay, so on this question, first part ask, it says explain what is meant by a stratified random sample. So this is population is divided into different subgroups which have common characteristics. Random samples are drawn from each subgroup according to their proportion of the population, and you would have that definition at the very start when we did statistics. The next part, it says write down 4 different passenger groups that the company might have included in their sample. So I said long haul economy class passengers, long haul business class passengers, long haul executive class passengers, short haul passengers. Okay, so anyone that you could think of there that they might have included in their survey. What is the probability that a passenger selected at random from this sample had his or her flight delayed? Okay, so people that had their flight delayed, there is 231 people. You can read that from the table over here. Out of my total, which was, there was 1,000 passengers. It gives me this information at the very top of the question. So then was not satisfied with the overall service. Not satisfied with the overall service. There was 238 people out of 1,000. Okay, then it says an employer suggests that the probability of selecting a passenger whose flight was delayed and who was not satisfied with the overall service should be equal to the product of the two probabilities in above. Do you agree with this, employee? And I said no, because if it was, this would imply that the events were independent, that the events were independent, but this is not likely, since the passenger who had not flown or his flight was delayed is likely to not be satisfied also with the service. So if you multiply those two probabilities, it's acting as if it is going to be independent, and we know that it's not going to be independent. One of them is going to have is going to affect the other one more than likely. Which of the graphs below do you think is most likely to represent the distribution of the weights of passengers' bags? Okay, so part I is normally distributed, so we wouldn't expect people to have really light bags, and we wouldn't expect people to have really heavy bags. So that's just kind of like every single person, but we know that there'd be an expectation. So what I said was it was part 2. The reason why I said it was going to be part 2 is because a lot of passengers are likely to have a bag with a weight of less than the maximum 20 kg. Okay, so that's why I put it that way. So you should remember, if you were to draw a histogram, you'd probably have it skewed that way as well. This question over here, then it says draw a sketch of the possible distribution of the age of the passengers based on the survey. So I kind of have all my information skewed to the right. Okay, so I said that the median is less than the mean, so the graph is skewed to the right. That was my reason. And then for the next one, I said the company repeatedly asserts that 7% of their customers are satisfied with their overall service. Use the hypothesis test at the 5% level of significance to decide whether there is sufficient evidence to conclude that their claim is valid in May. Write the null hypothesis and state your conclusion clearly. So my null hypothesis is 7% of customers are happy, and then my alternative hypothesis is 7% of customers are not happy. So what I did is I just got my margin of error. Okay, so my margin of error in this case is 1 over root 1,000, which is 0.0316. I got my p hat. Okay, so my sample proportion is 664 over 1,000, and I get my answer to be 0.664. So then I add that from my margin of error, and I take it away from my margin of error, and I find that my the level of people that are happy with the service, the percentage of it is between 63% and 69.56%. Okay, so what I can say basically is that probability that it's 0.7 is not in the range, so we actually reject that null hypothesis. Then I have a manager of the airline says if we survey 2,000 passengers from June on, we will have the margin of error in our surveys. Is this correct? No, it's not. Okay, so my margin of error, girls, that form is also in your log tables. It's just 1 over root n, so it's 1 over root 2,000, and we'd get 0.02236. And if I was to, that's not equal to half my margin of error of the previous one. So if you put into your calculator half of 1 over root 1,000, you don't get the same as 0.2236. So the answer is no. The next part of this it just says the response of 10 individual passengers to the questions on age and in-flight spent are given below. Draw a scatter plot. So I just have age in the bottom, flight and years along the top, and I've just plotted all my points. Then I get correlation coefficient as 0.88, so that's just using my calculator. And then what can I conclude from the scatter graph and the correlation coefficient? There's a strong positive correlation between age and in-flight spend, so the older you are, the more money that you tend to spend. And sketch the line of best fit. So I had 10 points there, so I just roughly tried to get each point on half and half with each other, and that's that video complete.